We got Charlie here. I'm trying to remember we're at Cottonwood. We got ducks right over there. Good boy. All right, so hello, how are you? I gotta remember what I'm supposed to make this video for. Because I have two people. No, the one people they can wait. This guy, he has some backyard issues. And Charlie obviously has no backyard issues. So when you have digging and whatnot, it's usually pent up energy, right? So you got to make sure you're giving your dog your proper exercise, right? That's the first thing. The second part of it is you need to work your recall, right? And people don't like using these in their backyards, but this is how you stop it. This is how we got rid of all of Ginger's. Ginger was terrible digging, like ripping stuff up with her mouth and run around crazy. Put her on the long line. You got to get your recall going. You put her on a long line in the backyard. All right. Say right now say this is your dog and it's digging. You go, hey, good, right here. And then you call him away. Charlie, come. Good. So say now your dog doesn't come, right? Like right there, I should have made him stay. So say your dog doesn't come. Now you have your long line. You get off your porch, you go get your long line, and you start pulling that dog over here to you, right? Charlie is a terrible one to do this video for because he's a Velcro dog. He's like, he ain't going nowhere, is he? He ain't going nowhere, are you? He's a good boy, right? So digging. Hey, yeah, good boy, right? So we've obviously worked it because he knows, right? So when you clap and they look at you, you're going to back up and they're going to follow you. Your dog doesn't follow you at that point and goes right back to digging or whatever. Say this is your dog digging, right? And you did the hey and you called them and they don't come. If they come, you're going to reward it. Now, this guy's dog doesn't like food. You know what? Affection. Good boy. Affection is actually your best reward for a recall. You're such a good dog. except for you don't understand space. You don't understand other people's personal space, right? So dogs digging in the now again, if he's going to be in the backyard, and they need to be supervised every time, no matter what, right? Because they've practiced digging and it feels good, so they're going to do it. Good boy. So never in the yard unsupervised. Never, 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 never until the digging is stopped. Okay. And ideally they'll be in a long line. So say they're digging. Now this is the first step, right? The first step is they're going to be on the long line. They're digging. You call them. They blow you off. They keep on digging. You're going to go grab that long line and you're going to start reeling them in. They can't blow you off, right? And technically it's not a blow off if you don't have a good recall. It's a blow off if you have a good recall. And if you have a good recall, they're not going to blow you off. Good boy, right? Good. And you can manipulate the food by not feeding them. That way you can use food rewards, but you don't have to. Food is just another tool, right? What's up, Red Rocket? You don't need food rewards. You can give affection. If your dog doesn't like affection, then you have to do something. Play with it. I can't remember if this guy said he plays with the dog. Right? So that's digging. What else? Walking. We're going to do hill drills in a minute. Right? So that's digging and your recall. Right? So here's the other thing you're going to do is, I'm not even going to, I was going to do a recall games, but I'm not going to because this guy's dog doesn't do food yet. If at all, if ever. Some dogs don't. Every dog will work for food. No, they won't. Or every dog's food motivated. No, they're not. So the other way, the way you practice it, right? So that's what you're going to do when you're in the situation of the dog digging. You've got to put a stop to the behavior, right? And the lightest way to correct it is to call them away and work that recall. The next thing you're going to do is they're on a long line, right? If you notice, every time he comes close, I'm going to pat him. I probably shouldn't because he's a Velcro dog. I should probably ignore him more. But it's my habit anytime they come close. So you're a good boy. So the other thing you're gonna do, oh man, this ain't gonna work. The other thing, Charlie, you make this kind of a video very hard. Watch out. Um, okay, so let's try this. Let's try this. You're going to, let me do 3 pieces of food. So the dog is not digging. You're gonna practice your recall. You're gonna go, Charlie, come. And then you're gonna pull. Yeah, good boy. You're gonna start with negative reinforcement because, so this is actually pretty good, right? Charlie, come. And you pull. He heard me. Good boy. Right? Yeah, good dog. Right? So you're gonna start with negative reinforcement because the dog has bad behaviors. Look, he barely felt the pressure and he turned and came back. Good boy. Right? So you're gonna go out there, the dog's gonna forget about you. The dog's gonna forget about you. You're gonna say the dog's name, come, okay? Or here, whatever the fuck word you want. I mean, whatever word you want. If you want to say here or whatever, the word doesn't matter. You can use any word. Words don't matter. So come, here, whatever it is. Come is the standard. You gotta go, boy. Come is the standard, right? A lot of people use here just to be different. His thing is he likes to spin around. If he's just standing there and he's got to do something, he'll. You're a good dog, right? So that's using negative reinforcement for your recall. And don't use, if the dog's digging, don't use his name. Don't go, dude, stop it. Don't use his name while you're teaching the recall. In time you can, but in the beginning you want, like from now on until recall's good, you want his name to only be with the recall. Or her name. Is it a girl? Right? So you're gonna go, you're a good boy. Let's see if I can get him to forget about me going this way. So it's negative reinforcement, right? You apply leash pressure to make the dog come to you. Good boy. Yeah, this was a bad idea. We got rained out yesterday. I should have done it with Olivia. Her recall's really good too. You're a good boy. So let's do this again. So I'm gonna use a different name. That's how I gotta do this. I'm gonna use a different name and here because he knows his name and come. Now you might see him come just because of my voice, but let's see. So I'm gonna use Fred here, right? Fred here. Good, right? So your dog's in the yard. Fred here. Good boy. Right? And then when they get to you, you're going to grab the collar and hold them. Well, it's on the long line, so you don't have to grab the collar. So you're going to hold them, right, until he looks. This is one thing that I stopped doing after like 2 weeks. But this is to prevent the come get your reward and run off. And you just wait. It's a patience. Okay. And I usually do a butt pat, right? Fred, here. Apply pressure. Good. And you're going to reward. Yeah, good job, good. You stop rewarding, you hold on to the leash. Okay. Looks at you. Okay, butt pat. Now he can go do whatever he wants. Or she. Can't remember. Right? Leash pressure. Fred, here. Good. Right? He's super easy. He's trying to get more hot dogs. There's no hot dogs in there. Wait for the look. Okay. He's got his butt put down. So as long as you say okay, you're going to say okay, put your hands out. Right? So, and when you do it, you're going to make sure it's crisp, right? Fred, here. Good. Good, good, good. Affection, food, affection, hold the leash until they look at you. They'll typically look at you right away. You're going to ignore that look and wait for the second look. Okay. Say okay, put your hands out and start moving. That way the dog knows he can move. Fred, here. Good. Good, good, good. Right? And you're going to mark as soon as they turn away. Now, I didn't have to use but 1 or 2 leash pressures. All right? So it's Fred, here. Right? The dog's not going to listen to you. And you're going to apply pressure. As soon as the dog turns, the pressure is going to naturally come off. And what I'm really bad about not doing is taking up the slack. So as the dog's coming back, there's no leash pressure, and you're not pulling. You're just taking up the slack as it's coming. I'm super bad about not doing that. So like sometimes, and the reason you're gonna do that is because say I'm 30 feet away and the dog's coming. If I'm not pulling up the slack, he's gonna turn and go back to what he wants to do, right? And then if you have to take all this slack up, now he's already 3 steps away. So what you want is when they turn to go back, you're going to go, no, come. And then you apply the pressure. Good. Right? And you're still going to reward them when they come back to you, even if they start to go somewhere else and you go, no, come. Now, say he starts going out like this. He's coming back and he's going that way. It's all encouragement. That wide comeback is going to get tighter and tighter as you get more practice rewarding them coming to you, right? But chances are, especially if the dog has been digging, it's going to try to go right back to it, right? So when it's coming, and the other thing that I usually do that I didn't do here because he's so good, is I usually encourage the whole way, right? So it's, Charlie, come, yeah, good boy, good, 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 right? The whole way. And I don't even care if you're using food, which I don't think you will be, because your dog doesn't like food. If you got a toy, start shaking it. I'm all about like whatever keeps them coming to prevent having to go, to prevent them turning back away, right? I don't care what it is. It helps you. Now, eventually that goes away. Charlie, come. Good, right? You saw there? I had to do some pressure because he wanted to get that hot dog. Sorry, dude, but I said come. Okay. All right, go ahead. You can have them. You can have them. What's the other thing? You needed heel drills too, right? I think you needed digging talk, recall, and heel drills, right? Why do they need recall? You need recall because if you see it, like if they've practiced digging in a certain spot, let's see what's another, like if it's always one spot, you can put their poop in there. I've heard, like they put some of their poop in it and cover it up, and they'll dig down and get to their poop. I think the problem with that is they're just going to go dig somewhere else, right? But that could be, but if they've practiced in a certain spot, you can get them to stop digging in that spot. They might go somewhere else, and you just have to supervise, right? Good boy. So it's all about supervision. You catch them. So, right, and so that's the other thing. If they've been digging in a certain spot, well, you watch them, right? And then as they're going to their spot, you can call them away. The more you call them away from going to that spot, the less likely they're going to go to that spot, right? So heel drills, right? It's just walking back and forth. That's just, he hits the least pressure because he forgot about me. I'm not correcting, right? He hits the least pressure. This is initial stages. He's really a really good walker too. So, good boy, right? Little affection when they're right with you. When you use affection on a walk, right? Let them hit that leash pressure, right? When you turn, don't say nothing. Let them hit that leash pressure. And it's just a bunch of good boy, right? You see that? He didn't hit the leash pressure after a couple times. Now again, he's already a good walker. He's had a lot of practice. But we haven't done that in a long time. But that's why it comes back really easy, right? Once you get it in there, right? So there's a little backwards pressure because I'm going into them, right? So you have outside turns, which is where the dog's on your outside. And look, if you walk for 30 minutes in front of your house in a bunch of ovals, you're still walking for 30 minutes, okay? But the dog's walking good now, good boy, right? Outside turns, the dog's on the outside. You're gonna do that until once you're turning, right? Once you're turning and the dog's not creating any pressure, now you can do your inside turns. You can do a little backwards pressure on your leash and turn into them. So what happens is the outside pressure or the outside turns, that gets him following you and that gets him going, oh, I gotta pay attention to the leash pressure. Then the inside turns is what actually backs him up to right here, right? So the outside turns, that gets him following you, get some energy down. Once you get a little energy down, you get them following you, right? So that's a figure 8. It's an outside turn. Then now, boom. Oh, and here's the key. Here's the key on the inside turns too. If he's in front of you, you got to kick your foot up, right? That's gonna back him up. And so his issue is he likes to go in front of the person. So what are you looking at, dude? So I just keep going. If the dog wants to go in front of you a lot, just keep going. Kick your foot out so they can't get in front of you. All right. So you have an outside turn. And look, I have dogs that for like 4 days, our 15, 20 minutes of walking is figure 8s, right? Figure 8, outside turn, inside turn, right? Because I want to make sure I get them following me before I even start going straight. Now, Charlie came in already a pretty good walker, just with the exception of that right there, right? He doesn't understand personal space. But your inside turn, right? You're not looking to kick the dog, but if he runs into your foot a couple times, they start staying back more, right? There's your inside turn, right? Now, more energetic dogs, if you need to really get some focus on you, you can do sharp turns. You saw that sharp turn threw him off, right? Sharp turn, you can correct them. We've been walking good, so now we got to hold him accountable, right? So I did this with a high energy dog the other day. You get him sharp turn, good. Then you cut this way. Them high energy guys, a lot of times they didn't give them sharper turns. But I think you got a Pyrenees. Oh, but it's a Pyrenees cattle dog, and it looks more like a cattle dog. So you might need more sharper turns, right? Good. I don't know why he turns the wrong way, right? So if they're energy, you get them focused on you by doing weird sharps. There's a correction because he didn't pay attention to me moving, right? We've been doing it for a few minutes, so he should be paying attention to me. Now there's a little distraction over there. But did you see the correction is 80% the dog not paying attention to you. You just have to go like this. So when I did the sharp turn and he didn't pay attention, it was this. Boop. Now the other thing is you don't want to turn and then stop. If you turn and then stop because the dog stopped and you're waiting for the dog to catch up, you're not giving him the information that he needs. What he needs is he needs you to be moving, right? So say I turn, he's distracted. If I'm going to correct, especially if you're going to correct him, right? So if there's a correction, and the correction is always while the dog's looking away, right? Because the dog's distracted, not paying attention to you. If the dog turns, stop your correction, right? And I like to wait on corrections anyways, but I just wanted to throw it in there. Boop, because I gave him one. Right. So if I was to correct him right now for being distracted, it's not doing nothing. You have to correct and keep moving. All right. But you saw he stopped and I stopped. You don't want to do that. You want to keep on moving. And if you don't want to use a correction, don't use a correction. Just use the leash pressure. Right? Which is what I usually do in the first, usually at least the first week. The only thing I'll do is I'll just keep moving, right? So there's leash pressure. I want them to follow the leash pressure, right? And that right there is something I wouldn't correct anyways. I would correct if they're just totally looking distracted, not paying attention. Now, if your dog is super used to pulling you and not paying attention to you, you might want to go corrections immediately. I had one here a couple weeks ago that I spent 2 weeks trying to get her attention. And then I finally started going, oh, this is enough, dude. So I finally started, and it was like immediate. As soon as I corrected and walked, she was like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, I get it. So I wasted a lot of time with her just trying to be soft, right? Because that's what I like to do. Dang, that thing's all right. I like to be soft as long as I can. And then it gets to be a point where I'm like, this ain't doing no good. Um, what else? Commands. You need to get off food for your commands, right? That's the other thing, right? So you tell your dog, sit. Good, right? You can give affection. At this point, you've had your dog for over a year. At this point, if you say good, you don't need a piece of food, okay? And if he's only doing it for food, so let's pretend. So right here, I'm gonna do leash pressure with Charlie. I don't think I've ever done one with him, but I'm gonna do it to show you. Say you say the word, you're gonna go pressure, and once you hit the pressure, you just leave it and you wait. Right? If you have said the word, if you've got a hand motion, which you should, if you don't, then don't worry about it. So you got a little bit of pressure. As soon as the butt goes down, the pressure comes off. He's on a martingale, so it's softer. Okay. Right? That makes sense. So you get to the pressure point, you don't add more pressure. If you do, sometimes I do a butt pat. So say you add pressure. Right? This is going to make him sit. Good. Right? As soon as he sits, the pressure comes off with the leash pressure. Right? This is probably the softest negative consequence. Using negative reinforcement is probably the softest negative consequence. And some people say it's not even a negative consequence. Break. It's just using pressure. Just using pressure release, right? I kind of use it as a negative consequence or to strengthen the word, right? So you say the word, you apply pressure. Good. Right? Let's do one of these, right? So let's say you do the word down, right? You got them in a sit. If you say the word, you say the word. If you've got a physical cue, which you should have. If you don't, that's something else we'll have to address because it helps the dog, right? It helps prevent having to correct. So say you say the word ground, right? Whatever your word is for this. You would go the word, you would go the hand motion. He doesn't do it, you would apply pressure. Good. Right? As soon as he starts going down, with the down, you have to go with him, but you're not keeping the pressure on it. What you're doing is, so you apply pressure, he starts the motion, the leash pressure is naturally going to come off a little bit, but you got to move with him for in case he goes back up. If your hand is still right here and he's right here and he's like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, and he goes back up, well, it's too long for that correction, right? So initially your hand has to go with him a little bit, but not keeping pressure on it. You don't want pressure as he's going down. It's only the pressure is telling him, hey, I want your body to go down. Okay. Right? So that's your sits, your downs. That's so you can get away from food, right? You're gonna go the word, the hand motion. If he doesn't follow your hand signal, then you're gonna apply pressure, right? You're gonna apply the leash pressure either for a sit is straight up, right, just under his chin, right, and straight up pressure. So what happens is the pressure makes his head go up a little bit, so his butt will naturally go down. Oh, I didn't get into that. So if you apply pressure, I don't know if you've seen people pushing on the dog's butt. What happens if you push on the butt, the dog's gonna push. So then you got to fight. And once you apply that pressure, you have to keep the pressure until you win the situation, and that's just not fun. What I'll tend to do is if I do pressure and they're not understanding the pressure, I'll go like this just a couple times. Now I don't have any pressure on them, so but I'm just trying to show you. I'll do like a little tap tap, and then sometimes that triggers their brain to go, oh yeah. But it's mainly a patience thing, right? You apply pressure. Some people are like, oh my god, the pressure's been on for a long time. I'm going to take it off. Well, then the dog just again didn't do what you're asking it to do, right? So once you apply a little bit of pressure for whatever you're doing, you have to hold it until the dog does it. And it's going to be the first time it might take 3 seconds. And those 3 seconds are going to feel like 5 minutes. But it's 3 seconds, dude. Just, it's okay, right? So you're applying pressure 3 seconds, and the next time it might be 2.5 seconds. Then the next time it might be 2 seconds, and the next time it might be immediate. Oh yeah, when he does that, I got to get right, because they're going to find the way to avoid the pressure, right? And the fastest way to get a reward, right? They want the fastest way to relieve the pressure and the fastest way to get a reward. We got a little dog coming right here, right? Say the dog's getting, I can't remember if your dog does this. Say the dog's getting all excited about something. You just don't say anything and you just keep moving, right? You just keep moving. Don't even worry about it. He wants to go look at this little dog, so what? We're just going to keep going, right? Now, at some point, I usually will correct it. It just depends. All right. He wants to get in front of me. I'm just pushing my foot up a little farther. So my foot goes into his shoulder and he's got to move over. All right. What's the other one? So the other, like using a correction, say he really wanted to go out towards that dog. I was super excited. I want to go say, if you do a leash correction, you're trying to come down to the shoulder length and go sideways, right? He really wants to go that way. Boop, right? And super easy. As soft as you can be, but as firm as you need to be. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. You ran into me, right? So any kind of leash correction that you want to do, like on a walk because he's acting crazy, birds are flying off, if you want that crazy, down shoulder level, you want to kind of go at an angle. You don't want to go this way. You're not going to kill your dog if you go this way. All that crazy talk that people talk about. Ain't nobody had a, there's no vet, you will find no vet and no evidence of people giving a straight back leash correction and the dog going in because the trachea collapsed. It's all a bunch of nonsense. All right? That's it. When it does happen, it's usually a genetic thing, or people have got their dog chained up on a tree and they're not supervising. The dog tries to chase a squirrel or something. It's just all nonsense, dude. Right. So again, leash corrections on the collar. You want to try to be shoulder level and like that, right? And if you give a correction, you got to keep moving. Wherever you want the dog to go, you got to keep moving. You can't stop and correct because you're not telling the dog what you want. You can't correct and then follow the dog, right? I mean, depending on what tool you're using. If you're using like prong collars and stuff, you can correct and keep going. But what I try to do is go away from the stimulus. If he wants to go over there and I want to keep going too, now there's going to be a point of no return, right? There's going to be a point of no return where there's a person walking a dog over there. There's going to be a point where I can't back up. But that's the ideal thing, backing up. Uh-oh, I'm going off on tangents. We need a break, right? I kind of feel like I covered everything. Break. Oh, that's the other one. While you're walking, All right. So say you get some good walking, put sniffs for this dog. You're gonna put sniffs and everything on a break, especially at the beginning. I don't always do this. It just depends on what's going on with the dog. You're gonna get some good walk, break. Right. So you're gonna go, say 3 to 5 minutes. Give it a 30-second sniff break. Come back, do 3 to 5 minutes of the heel drill stuff, figure eights and turns. Boom, 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 boom. 30-second break. 3 to 5 minutes, and then that's going to become 7 to 10 minutes and a 30-second break. 7 to 10 minutes and a 30-second break. Right? That's how you're going to get your 30 minutes. That's 20 minutes. So you do that 3 times. You do 3, right? So at first, if you're doing 3 to 5 minutes and a 30-second break, you can do 4 of those. Then when the dog's doing good with 3 to 5 minutes, then you're going to go to 7 minutes, right? 7 to 10 minutes. You do 3 times. 7 to 10 minutes break. 7 to 10 minutes break. Then you're going to go to 10 to 12 minutes break. 10 to 12 minutes break. All right. What you doing, fool? Oh, you got you a ball? Here. You ready to play? I think we covered everything, dude. 30 minutes? Holy crap. We better have. My brain doesn't work linear. Stop.